When it comes to witches, it can always be kind of tricky to separate the innocent women throughout history who were just in the wrong place at the wrong time from those who were truly evil, but I think I did a good job of that today. Question for you, who do you think is the most evil real witch out there? Let me know in the comments and let's dive in. Kicking off our list today, Jezebel, the ultimate bad girl of the Bible, is a legendary witch indeed. Her name is synonymous with cunning, evil, all the bad things. She was born to Ethbal of Tyre, king of the Phoenicians, who were said to worship many gods and goddesses, particularly to the nature god Baal. When Jezebel became queen of Israel after marrying King Ahab, her polytheistic upbringing and rejection of Yahweh earned her many enemies. She is portrayed as a cruel and evil, blaspheming woman that persecuted the followers of Yahweh. Most infamously, she condemned the commoner Naboth to death for not giving land to King Ahab, which he refused on the basis of Jewish law. After the king passed away, the new king of Israel, Jehu, ordered Jezebel's servants to throw her from a window. Her body was then trampled by the horse and fed to stray dogs. Now, despite her gruesome demise, she made it a point to go out in style. Anticipating her execution, she got all dolled up, dressing in her best finery and painting her face. Like an icon, for sure. Next up, we have Guide Spagmanger, one of the first women executed for sorcery in Denmark and in Scandinavia. Like, you know, you're just making history. In 1543, King Christian III of Denmark equipped a fleet of 40 ships to chase away an imperial Dutch fleet from the coast of Norway to the Netherlands. And outside of Helsing, his fleet was stuck in a calm and the whole project failed. But soon, a merchant's wife named Guide was arrested and tormented, believed to have gathered a group of witches in a valley outside of the city and enchanted the ships. She eventually admitted to conducting a spell with a coven on a hill above Elsinore and named several more people that were involved, male and female, including vicars, which led to the expansion of the witch trial. Now, this trial was handled by the royal governor, Bild, and she also said that enchantments, yeah, they're never going to disappear unless she was allowed to remove them personally. Now, the folks that she named, yeah, they were arrested and tormented to an extent quoted as so hard their limbs were separated. But Guide was the only one that confessed. So in November of 1543, the king demanded for the rightful old principal of the witches to be burned. Granted, she suffered through further interrogations before meeting the end of her time. Moving on, we've got Agnes Samson. So she was an elderly woman who was known locally as a healer and a midwife, having cared for and successfully cured many neighbors of ailments throughout her life. She was a widow with several offspring, living close to poverty in East Lothian. She had been suspected and investigated for witchcraft many times, so there was no surprise locally that her name was given as the main culprit when King James was looking for somebody to blame for the bad weather keeping him away from his way too young bride. So after she was named, Agnes was quickly captured and protested her innocence. The News from Scotland, which was an English written pamphlet that would have been written in London around 1591, says that Agnes was shaved from head to toe and each part of her body was tormented with a rope for hours, intentionally to cause pain. The devil's mark was found and she confessed, saying that she and hundreds of other witches attended North Berwick Kirk on Halloween night to meet with the devil to end the life of the king. She claimed that the devil appeared to her as a black man, a dog, or a hayrick. She had attended that witch's convent at North Berwick with her son-in-law, where they had collected bones and powdered them for said charms. To prove her magical powers, she told the king the exact words that had passed between him and his new wife on their wedding night. Freaky. In January of 1591, she was taken to Edinburgh Castle and met her end by the way of a rope necklace, with her body then being burned at the stake. Now, her ghost, the very naked ghost of the bald Agnes, is said to roam the palace of Holyrood House, the official Scottish residence of the British monarchy. So if you visit, let me know. Time for a French witch, Angele de la Barre. Born around 1230 in Toulouse, France, she was a noblewoman and a Gnostic Christian, which was a sect that was considered heretical by the Catholic Church. In 1275, she was accused of having some naughty relations with Satan and was impregnated by him, giving birth to a creature that had the head of a wolf and a serpent's tail. And it also consumed human flesh, so Angele stole little ones to feed it. She was sentenced to death, burned alive, as you do, making her the first in Europe to have her life ended from accusations of witchcraft. So another tally in the history books, but not a positive tally. Now it's time to talk about Walpurga Hosmanen, who was a midwife, born sometime between 1510 to 1527, where she lived and worked in Bavaria. Hey, her life had been unremarkable until her arrest on charges of witchcraft, sorcery, and vampirism in 1587. She established a relationship with a demon named Federlin, who made her swear allegiance to the devil and promised to rid her of her poverty. Like, okay, I'm in. During her confession, she stated that she had sworn herself to Satan and written it on a contract, and Federlin had then taken her to the real devil and confirmed her contract, after which they had consumed wine, consumed the roasted flesh of young humans, and had coitus. And in case I needed to clarify, she had intercourse with Federlin, not the devil. I know, plot twist. She described visiting the devil often, and her demon lover had also visited her plenty to have, well, coitus, even in the streets at night and in prison, leaving every time she said the name of Jesus. Well, hey, if that's your safe word, that's your safe word. Federlin had gifted her the magical ointment she used to harm her victims, which included humans of a variety of ages, animals, and even crops. She confessed to having ended the life of many young folks during her work as a midwife by applying this special salve or putting pressure on their foreheads, and to having sucked their fluids like a vampire. She also confessed to having eaten the young with other witches and using their hair for sorcery. The full list of crimes she confessed to was very long, with her victims including 41 young humans, 2 mothers in labor, and a multitude of other people and animals. Like, we're talking cows, pigs, geese, a horse. I could go on for ages. The decision of the authorities was swift and unanimous, with the church and royal court finding her guilty and, well, sentencing her to death. But before being burned, she was first taken throughout the city and stopped 5 times before reaching the place of execution to be branded. Like 5 brands? Ow! Alrighty, how about we talk about Mary Baitman, a woman born in Assenby, Yorkshire, and in 1768 had a life of deceit, poisoning, and a chilling transformation from a seemingly ordinary existence to a practitioner of the dark arts. Over the years, Mary's occupation shifted from mantua maker to fortune teller and wise woman, gradually building her reputation in the shadows. In 1792, she married John Baitman, that's how she got her last name, and her criminal inclinations persisted. Robberies, prison escapes, and even accusations of working as a abortionist marked her darker exploits. Her criminal activities continued even after her marriage, as she roamed the streets of Leeds posing as a charitable soul collecting goods for fire victims. But she only kept the stuff for herself. In a peculiar twist, Mary joined the followers of the prophetess Joanna Southcott in 1806. Now, as part of this sect, she orchestrated the infamous prophet hen of Leeds hoax, claiming that eggs laid by a hen bore apocalyptic messages. A penny was the price of admission to witness these so-called, prophecy eggs. However, the truth behind the spectacle revealed Mary's deceitful hand. She had written on the eggs using ink and cunningly reinserted them into the hen. Oh, poor thing. The year 1806 marked another dark chapter in Mary's life when she was approached by William and Rebecca Perigot. Claiming Rebecca was under a spell, Mary began feeding them poisoned pudding, leading to Rebecca's demise in 1808. William then accused Mary of both poisoning his wife and defrauding them for charms and cures. Mary's trial in York in March of 1809 found her guilty of fraud and Rebecca's death. Yeah, she met her end. How about another lesser-known name, Lavoisin? Also known as Catherine de Shays, she was a commissioned poisoner and the head of a network in Paris of witches that provided poison, aphrodisiacs, magical services, and the arranging of black masses, with clients among the aristocracy, and became the central figure in the famous Affaire de Poison. Her organization of commissioned black magic and poison killings was suspected to have killed only 1,000 people, but it might have actually been 2,500 people who met their end because of her, which that's a lot of people. Here's another doozy, Isabelle Gwyn. So we're diving headfirst into 1662 Scotland, a time and place where superstition and fear of witchcraft kind of ran rampant. Isabelle, a housewife living in the Aldern region, remains a mysterious figure in history. While we know very little about her personal life, what we do know is that her involvement in one of the most notorious witch trials in Scotland would forever mark her name. What's striking about Isabelle's case is the lack of information about her initial accusation or the reasons behind her confession. However, it's believed that her ordeal was part of a conspiracy to torment the local minister, Harry Forbes, a big believer in witchcraft. And remarkably, for a woman of her time and background, Isabelle's confessions were eloquent and detailed. So in her confession, she described some fun, chilling encounters with the devil. She spoke of renouncing her baptism in the church at night, marking her allegiance with the devil. She also claimed to have had encounters with the devil himself, describing him as a cold, rough, but imposing figure with cloven feet. Her narrative included disturbing accounts of grave robbing, crop spoiling, magical horse rides, and feasts with the Queen of the Fairies. Okay, where can I sign up? She didn't stop there though. She confessed to crafting clay effigies to harm others, transforming into animals, and participating in an array of witchcraft rituals. Her testimonies included a staggering number of chants, more than any other British witchcraft case. With Isabelle's extensive confessions, the authorities believed that they had enough evidence to request a trial, which was likely to end in her conviction. The exact outcome of the trial remains unrecorded, but it's safe to assume that Isabelle faced a grim fate, likely burning to prevent her from haunting the community beyond the grave. Another significant name in witch history was Dame Alice Keiteler, the first recorded person condemned for witchcraft in Ireland. She fled the country to either England or Flanders, and there's no record of her after her escape from persecution. She was the only descendant of a Flemish family of merchants who settled in Ireland in the mid to late 13th century. She was married 4 times, by the way. We're talking William Outlaw, Adam le Blund, Richard de Vale, and Sir John le Poer. Her servant, Petronilla de Meath, was flogged and burned to death at the stake on November 3rd of 1324 after being punished heinously and confessing 2 heretical crimes that she, Alice, and Alice's followers were alleged to have committed. Here's another famous one to end today with, Moll Dyer. By the way, she was one of the witches that inspired the Blair Witch Project. Residing in Leonardtown, Maryland, her origins are clouded in mystery. The most popular theory being that she was a noblewoman escaping an unsavory past. Taking up an isolated residence outside of town limits, she developed a reputation as a skilled herbalist. Those skills, combined with her unknown past and secluded lifestyle, planted the suspicion of witchcraft in villagers' heads. So in the winter of 1697, the weather was so harsh that many crops failed, and a deadly plague swept through the town. It's believed that these were revenge from Moll, after the townspeople had been blaming her for every misfortune and hardship that they faced. A meeting was held amongst town vigilantes, and they decided, let's form a mob and get her out of here. They set fire to her cottage in the dark of night, and Moll ran until her legs gave out, kneeling by a large rock. She raised her hand to the sky, calling down a further curse to the townspeople, and eventually froze to that same rock, leaving her handprint as notice of her final act. Now the boulder has since been preserved as a landmark, and even though the handprint is no longer clearly visible, visitors have reported feeling profoundly uncomfortable or experiencing terrible aches and pains around it, and cameras have been known to malfunction in its presence. On the coldest nights of the year, people have reported seeing a woman with long white hair and wearing a white dress walking through the fields and woods near the town. Honestly, I got a half a mind to go visit her. And that brings us to the end of our time once again. I've been Alexa, your resident emo girl, and if you enjoyed my ramblings today, could you help us out by giving this video a like, subscribing if you aren't already, hit the bell for more witchy content, and I'll see y'all next time I buzz in over here at Bumblebee.